This is an interesting exercise. So, as I mentioned before, maybe the institute that I'm sitting at here in Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, in India, apparently, I don't know this for sure, but apparently, working from home or working off-site is not officially allowed, and yet sustainability would mean telecommuting has to be an option, right? So, Brazilian education system did an experiment with a hypothetical full shift to distance learning. So you got rid of all the telecommuting and so on. They actually compute some numbers to see the impacts, and they define a quantity called energy and so on. So I thought it's kind of really a nice hypothetical experiment. Sorry. According to statistics published by government agencies, 58 million students are currently enrolled in formal education courses available in the Brazilian educational system as a whole. A time series covering the years 2005 to 2015 reveals a descending number of enrollments in basic traditional school courses and an ascending amount of students attending distance teaching courses. Distance teaching has been hailed as an environmentally friendlier alternative to full-time campus activities in papers with valid statistical data. However, the authors of this work performed an environmental accounting and compared the use of natural resources needed to implement and operate two similar courses, one under traditional classroom conditions and its distance teaching version, so control experiment or traditional and distance teaching, using the using the emergy accounting method, which allows for different types of energy to be accounted together by using solar energy joules as a common unit. So a little bit fancy, nice. The results show that implementing and operating distance teaching version required 110% more investment in natural resources than the traditional version. This result motivated the analysis presented in this paper of the required investment in resources supporting the entire Brazilian education system, combined with scenarios resulting from a hypothetical full shift from traditional in-class to distance teaching. Okay, just to read off the methodology of emergy accounting and the calculation phases. In this work, the traditional schools and distance teaching activities in the nation were treated as two distinct energy systems. The relevant energy contributions for the system's functionality were included in an inventory. The data used herein is based on official government statistical publications for the year 2015, and this study was developed in the second semester of 2017. The sum of the different forms of energy composing a system is sustainable. I'm getting tired reading it all wrong. Okay. The sum of different forms of energy composing a system is obtainable with the use of emergy accounting. Did I skip something already? No. Emergy is available energy of one kind previously used up directly and indirectly to produce a service or a good, in this case teaching. Okay. Emergy accounting enables for the analysis of the quantitative and qualitative contributions from the environment and from the economy to a production system from a donor's perspective. So if you're paying for it, what would you face in terms of costs? Thus, by using joules of energy as a common unit, different forms of energy can be accounted for and compared. Emergy per unit time is calculated as this equation here. Emergy is energy, material or information flow times UEV, where UEV is the unit of emergy value calculated based on the emergy required to produce one unit, joule, gram, cubic meter or dollar of a given resource. It's a kind of a cute way to do it. It's like the CO2 equivalent that we do in greenhouse gases, even though that's much more straightforward. The UEV unit energy value of a resource or product derives from all the resources and energy flows that were used to produce it. Previous works featuring the energy accounting of educational systems analyzed single educational units or institutions. Their inventories included items such as water, paper, plastic material consumption, all of which contributing less than 5% of the total system energy. Such low rates may be deemed irrelevant to energy accounting. This work integrates a larger research work in progress that features the energy accounting of the Brazilian educational system as a whole, and those items have been removed from the inventory. The relevant energy forms entering the system were organized in sections referred to as phases, seen here, so I won't go into the details. Energy accounting of the inputs required by physical schools to operate in 2015. The UEV unit energy value comply with the 15.83 times 10 to the 25 solar energy joule per year baseline. So you can look at the details in the appendix, which I'm not going to go into. So building usage, electricity, workbooks and subtotals. Just look at the number SEJ per student. Okay, here it says the traditional system. If you look at the building usage in the distance teaching system, again electricity, workbooks and subtotal, you have numbers that are typically much larger here. 9.05 10 to the 20, 1.42 10 to the 21. These are all in 10 to the 13. These are all higher. So remarkable finding there. So I'll just jump to the end, because this basically made a quick experimental calculation, hypothetical switching to a full long distance learning. Of course, in the real world you want to optimize distance learning versus traditional learning based on many other parameterizations, right? The analysis unveils an interesting panorama about the use of the natural resources required to implement and operate the national education system. The current local discussions about sustainability in universities may benefit from the notion that apart from the immediate actions towards greening existing campuses, they call it campi, the implicit cost of implementing these educational systems can, by using robust methods, be analyzed and taken into consideration when implementing a new unit regardless of its operation mode, in-class or distance teaching. The calculation procedures taken herein can be adapted and used to analyze any education system. The results are highly influenced by the basic configuration of the infrastructure for both in-class and distance learning courses. We just looked at 3 here in terms of electricity, workbooks, and the totals, the subtotal. So it's called subtotal, that's not the total, right? In conclusion, the results put the common sense perception of the distance teaching mode as an overall cleaner and immediate alternative to traditional brick and mortar schools into perspective by considering the environmental cost behind the students' access to formative information and interaction as shown in table 3A and B. A contextualized analysis including a comparison between CO2 equivalent emissions from mechanical student transportation and electricity production to feed the distance teaching system is encouraged. So you have to really do kind of a life cycle analysis and not just assume that with distance teaching people are going to be traveling less and buildings, energy use, water use, campus maintenance, facilities, waste, everything will somehow make distance learning more economically viable, energy-wise more sustainable, and so on. So always good to do a full life cycle analysis. Okay, so it's an interesting example. You may apply it to your campus and try to see how to combine distance learning with traditional learning to find some combination where offering distance learning option for those who may miss a class or don't want to travel that particular day and so on, actually may still lead to some energy savings and also offer convenience that you cannot count in such emergy calculations, right? Okay.